Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Coaching Youth Hoops podcast. This week, we had our launch party for coachingyouthhoops.com a couple weeks ago, and I was busy last week because my daughter's graduating from high school. If any of you listen, kind of know that. But anyway, didn't have time to get this up. So I just talked to Bill. We're going to launch this. We're going to put it up so you can listen. So if you're listening, you can watch down below. But we had our launch party for coachingyouthhoops.com. We're very excited about it. It's the roadmap, the practice plans, everything you need at an affordable price for youth coaches. So we had our launch party. We kind of walked through the site. So if you're listening, you can go down to the YouTube and kind of see everything inside it. Not everything, because it was still a beta version at that point. We're still working on it. But also, we spent like 40 minutes just answering questions from youth coaches, and that's what Bill and I really want to do. We want to help a million players, and we can do that by helping all of these coaches, and that's one of the reasons we started coaching youth hoops. We wanted to give you everything in a bucket, the roadmap, the practice plans, the direction, the workouts, everything you kind of need, no matter where you are in your journey as a youth coach. And we just wanted to help you be able to do that. So it's going to be a wide range. The beginning will be us kind of talking, then we will kind of go through the website, and then we'll go and answer questions. And it's great. I should have I should have put it up sooner. So 100 lashes with a wet noodle, but I got up as fast as I could. So I hope you enjoy, and we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming of coaching youth hoops next week. Hope you enjoy. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Coaches, if you don't mind, turn on your video too. We'd love to see your faces. We have a quick chat.
Yeah, this is kind of
There
like
it
anything. I'm on Zoom pretty much all the time. So
There you go.
yeah, it's part of the job. Part of the job.
I spent a whole year on Zoom in this room. Actually, it was horrible for teaching. It was horrible. I hated it. But anyway, made me clean up my office. All right, we'll give everybody a couple more minutes. Hey, in the chat, why don't you tell me where you coach or what grade level you coach? Where you coach in the grade level? See if we can get it over in the chat.
So city and grade?
Yeah, or
City,
something like
state
that.
grade?
I'm just more
Yeah,
interested.
or what? Yeah. Grade school or whatever you're doing, if you have an AAU team or
Well, I know where Decanter is. Shoot.
what?
Fort White, Florida. Okay, Alex, where is that in Florida?
So it's I want to say it's about 30 minutes outside of Gainesville.
Okay, I know where that is. Yep.
So have you ever heard of Alachua?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm 2 towns over from Alachua.
Okay. Yeah, our dogs are named Sanibel and Disney, so we spent a little time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There's no Sanibel anymore because the hurricane went over the island, but we still love it.
Oh, I
All
see
right.
Canton, Ohio here.
DC, love DC, Minnesota, Cape Cod. Oh, I proposed to my wife on the Cape. Where did we stay? It was on Sunset. We couldn't find a place to park. They were like, we couldn't find. Anyway, I eventually did it. What was it? Beechworth Beach something was the bed and breakfast we stayed at. But Springfield, Illinois.
We have nobody west of the Mississippi yet, Coach.
I know.
The California people. It's 5:30, 5 o'clock here.
Canton. My daughter's going to Ohio, so Baldwin Wallace for college. So
I'm from Akron, Ohio. Not too.
You are. Yeah,
right.
my sister-in-law lives in outside of Columbus in New Albany, so I've spent some time in Ohio.
Yeah.
But I hadn't heard of Baldwin Wallace until my daughter decided she wanted to be an actress. So
Good school.
Yeah, I think so. She seems, and she got in the BFA program, so she's pretty excited. All right, we'll give a 30 another minute or so, you think, Coach, and then we'll get going.
Yeah, absolutely.
For those of you that don't know or don't listen to the podcast, I'm a stats teacher and I teach AP stats, and the test is tomorrow. The AP test is tomorrow. So I'm calm now because it's over. I can't do anything. If they don't know it by now, I can't do anything. So it's the calm. And then they'll all come yell at me on Friday that we didn't learn anything. And
Just like coaching.
It's similar to coaching. Similar to coaching.
Do you get the parent phone calls though?
Me and for
Yeah,
that,
for
no,
teaching. No,
I
no,
don't
okay.
as much. All right, Keith's coming in. All right, Coach, you want to take the lead on this? I think we're just are we gonna go off of asking them some questions and stuff?
Yeah, let's we'll just start there. We'll have a conversation what you guys need, looking for. Yeah, so anyway, guys, thanks for
And we
showing
got a
up
bunch
today.
of stuff to give away at
Oh,
the
yeah.
end too. So people that have joined, we're gonna give that IC3 away, and then we've got a bunch of other stuff, some really cool stuff that we're gonna give away at the end too. So stick around to the end, even though hopefully this is useful for all of you. But and if you don't want to shout it out, you can put it in the chat too, because we want to make this the best thing for all of you. That's why we're kind of doing this beta thing before the season starts in the fall. So the more input we can get, the better off we're going to be. Go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry.
No, you're doing good. Yeah, so you got to stick around to the end. What did we say? We got about 3 hours worth of material that we're going through.
3 hours. I have sushi in the refrigerator, and I live in Wisconsin, so it won't last very long.
It's already 10 days old if it's eating sushi in Wisconsin. All right, yeah. While it actually just made me think about this too. If you want to shout out or just in the chat, when does your season start? So we know, and at least in the States, we're a little bit early for most coaches. Oh, Alex, he's in it. He's in the thick of it right now. As people were signing up and such, yeah, I noticed that some of you guys, have an early season, or you're playing summer ball, so that's awesome. But yeah, so if you haven't signed up yet for Coaching Youth Hoops, go to coachingyouthhoops.com. There's still time to win that IC3 because we're giving it away at the end. So if you haven't taken the leap of faith here and trusted Steve and I that we're going to deliver an amazing product, just like a lot of you already have, now's the time, the last chance to win that IC3. So go to Coaching Youth Hoops right now, sign up, and we'll see that, and we'll see that for the drawing at the end. But the other things, yeah, go ahead, Coach.
Go ahead. And Alex, when we jump in and start asking things that you want in, we're kind of building it. This is a beta. We're still building the thing, obviously, and putting stuff in. We've got tons of stuff we can put in. It takes a while to do it. So when we get to that that question and answer, let us know what you need now, because we can get that. We'll get that in as soon as we can. We're just trying to build it because it looks like most people are starting in the fall. So that's kind of what we're thinking. But if people need stuff now, like I'm slowly putting some workout stuff in there. Some stuff you can do in the driveway, that kind of stuff, ball handling stuff. So I know people need that in the summer, but when we get to that, I just didn't want to forget. Let us know, and we'll find what you need for sure. Go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. So yeah, so let's maybe take a step back of why we're doing this in the first place, right? A lot of us, including myself, when I first started coaching, we're struggling putting practice plans together, knowing that we put the right practice plan in place, finding the material, searching Google, going to YouTube, finding the drills, knowing if they're if the kids are developed enough to even do the drill we're asking them to do, or the offense we're asking them to run. But the good news is we've created this roadmap for you, and we're laying it all out. Steve and I've been coaching a long time, so we kind of know what works at what age, right, and when you actually should be putting things in and implementing things.
It's like it's like I told you, the whole reason. So I've coached for real. If you know anything about me from basketball, won a lot of games. I've been very lucky. I've coached a really long time. I think I know basketball really well. I told Bill this a long time ago. The reason the need for this is, well, I've coached my kids in soccer and baseball and sports I would have killed. We're building this for me as a baseball coach or me as a soccer coach, where I kind of know it, but I don't really know it. And our goal is to have everything you guys need If we don't have it, we'll build it. But everything you need as far as here's your practice plans, I just put up recently, and coach will show you in a second, like preseason. What do you need to do preseason? Checklist. How do you deal with parent meeting? All the stuff that we've had to do, and I've had to do running my own youth program. That's our goal, is to and that's what I always have in my head. What would I have killed to go walk to the Little League diamond? What would I have wanted? What would I have wanted for those kind of things? Even though I know baseball, I don't know baseball. Like, I don't know it like I know basketball. Go ahead, coach.
Yeah, and I think to that point too is what we want to emphasize is we have time, right? Again, a lot of coaches are starting in the fall, so we want to build this to solve your problems. And even when you're in season, it's like, oh, how do I beat 1-3-1? Although that would probably already be in there, but as an example, right? Or some particular defense that you're running up against. Just reach out to us.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So how do I needed the perfect press break. I've already thought, I already have some press break stuff, but I already thought about what people need. Because what happens? The better team comes, they press you, you can't get it over half court, all those kind of things. So we kind of know that those avenues that we're going to eventually have to get down for all of you. Do you want to show them some of this, coach? I know, we've been pretty busy in that class.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and our whole goal here is to obviously just save you guys time, right? I don't know about you, but when I was coaching, or I am coaching, still youth is the amount of time that I put into a practice plan to make sure that it keeps moving, right? Well, hopefully we've done all the hard work for you, so you can just follow the plan step by step, grade specific as well. So, anywhere from 8 to 10 hours a week, depending on how hardcore you get, how hardcore you are when it comes to putting a practice plan together, getting the right drill. So hopefully we have that down. All right. What did I do with it here, coach? Here we go.
Like teaching 101. It's like we need a day,
Let's see.
I think I got it so you could share. There you go, coach. Okay.
We good? You can see my screen? All right. Let's go back up to the courses. So when you first log in, you'll see a screen that looks like this. There's an intro video of Steve and I just welcoming you, plus kind of how to use the course. It's pretty simple. It's going to follow the steps. Just what's included. We have a roadmap for you, just a simple roadmap, kind of a framework that you can follow to use throughout your season. I am showing obviously the 7th grade practice plans here. You can see that. So we have practice plans specific for 7th grade, coaches resources and handbooks, as Steve talked about, man offense, zone offense, press and press breaks, out of bounds plays, drills, games, small-sided games, ball handling, rebounding. It should be everything that you might need.
And we're going to be, and we're transparent. This is beta. We're giving you beta prices. We'll leave the beta prices for as long as you stay, but we're going to be building. Like, the problem is I have so much information. I got to sift through what's good for specific grades. And we spent the last month kind of doing this up to this point. Over the next month or two, again, if someone's coaching summer and they need something, we will find it for you. So we just want to be transparent about that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and then you can see all the material as you scroll down. It's all categorized. So hopefully we got the categories correct on how you might think about what you need. So man-to-man offense, zone offense, press breaks, out of bounds plays, offensive drills, etc. Then you just scroll down and see everything there. And then you can open up, we'll take a look at the practice plans, for example. They're by practice. So there's 24 practice plans that are included when you buy the Coaching Youth Hoops system. And they're just, from here, you can just download the practice plan. You can access it from your phone. Just as a PDF. If you haven't seen these before, some of you, this might all look familiar to some of you who bought them, but they're all laid out. So that was kind of practice one, just kind of intro practice, right? But you will see then you get all through 24. It's a progression throughout the season. All right, next, here's the coach's roadmap I was talking about. You can see that here as well. All the resources you need, just walk you through kind of our 5-step thought process on things you need to do throughout the season. And you can see we've added, offensive examples.
Go to the
Again, all of-
engagement. The engagement thing is a fun thing too. If you're looking for something to do outside of
Oh,
basketball,
this one, yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
If you're looking for something to do outside of basketball, ideas for, it's a little bit of everything. Things you can do as far as your team engagement,
kind of team building and things, yeah.
yeah, all that kind of stuff. I don't know, it'd be
Mhm.
hard to do team yoga with second graders, but anyway, depending on the grade level, there's kind of a lot of fun different things. I've done a bunch of these things with my team. You can make a TikTok with your team, but anyway,
Yeah, we can't
then-
forget that basketball's supposed to be fun too, right? We
Yeah.
play.
if you
right?
go down to the
Yeah.
preseason thing too, there's a checklist down there. There's I love that handout too. Like,
Which
yeah,
one?
the preseason, that roadmap kind of will walk. Now this is kind of heavy. You're gonna probably have to print this off and read it. But it's gonna walk you through kind of a guide. The best part is inside of that, we're gonna have like a checklist. We're gonna have, do you have to meet with your youth director, your varsity coach? You have to, all of the things that kind of go into the preseason. And inside of that specific course, there's a checklist too. So if coach goes back and you can see there's a checklist of things that, what do you need? You need basketball, all the stuff you don't think about. Some people that have coached won't need this. Some people will dive into more of some of the nuances, but things that I've thought about in terms of, parents, the more you can get the parents to do stuff for you, the better off you are sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So that's just kind of a high level overview of what to expect, and obviously this is all about being age appropriate. So obviously the K through 2 is much different than what the 8th grade team is going to get. So
Let
right.
somebody in here. Let's open it up for questions before we go do the so we get some good questions answered.
Yeah.
Go and do the give away the stuff.
If you know how to use Zoom, you can just either use the tool to raise your hand.
Once you stop the share there, coach, there you
Yep.
go. Perfect. Awesome. So go ahead, Alex.
So this is kind of like where I maybe need some help. So I've coached previously, but I've coached JV varsity. I've never been a middle school coach before. And there's one thing about teaching players at the JV level where they obviously have some experience, and it's easier to kind of just highlight and do some add-on training. Where I'm at now is the program that I'm taking over. The kids I had last year, they have never played basketball before. And that was very difficult for me because I've never had to teach somebody actually how to play the game itself, at least not at that level. Like basically I'm starting from scratch. So just to give you guys a heads up, kind of what I'm looking for is how do I kind of bridge that gap? Because now this team I have coming up this year, I want to say I think I have 3 7th graders, 4 6th graders that will be moving up. So next year I'll have 3 8th graders, 4 7th graders, and I'm looking at a couple 6th graders. And what I'm looking for is how do I kind of bridge that gap from what I know of the game to actually teaching kids who have never played, and kind of building that camaraderie, or that building a really good program, because that's kind of what I'm looking to do, because we really haven't had that in a very long time.
I'm gonna let Bill jump on this, but can you give me a scale of like none of them have played? None of them
dribble?
Can they shoot? give us a spectrum here a little bit.
So I had to kind of makeshift things where I had I had two players who could dribble. I had a kid who was 6'1", who was 13 years old, and now he's 6'2", and he's a monster now. He's going to ninth grade. But I basically had to. He couldn't really shoot. He was very athletic, could run really fast, and I just tried to keep it simple. Rebound, don't shoot threes, stay inside the paint. You're taller than everybody, just get rebounds, get putbacks. I had two kids who could dribble. I have one kid who's just really athletic. He just has a nose for the basketball. Like he's just one of those, like, wherever the basketball's at, he gets it, he puts it back in. But none of my kids can shoot at all. And I only had one that could dribble who was in 8th grade. He's now moving up to 9th grade. So now I have one 6th grader who's a pretty decent ball handler, but he can't shoot. And the other kids are kind of like in that middle area where they're not very good ball handlers or not very good shooters, but they want to learn. Like, they work really hard. It's just trying to get them to trying to teach them exactly, like, I don't even know if like form shooting is even important at this stage in time. Like, is it even possible for me to teach them form shooting, or do I just work with kind of what they already have and just try to accent on that?
Go ahead, Bill. I got a bunch of ideas.
Yeah. So how many practices do you have a week?
So we practice, if we don't have a game, we typically practice every day but Friday. So I would say in a season that starts in November, ends in the end of January, I'd probably say we probably get about 20, 25, maybe even 30 practices, and we get a lot of practice time.
Okay, so you got enough practice time in there. How long each?
However long I want them. If I want them 2 hours, we can do 2 hours. If I want it to be an hour, it could be an hour. It just depends on what I want to do.
Okay, so you have some flexibility in that. That's awesome. Okay, good. In a nutshell, just fundamentals. Seriously, and to just work on passing, shooting, dribbling. Don't worry about offense, a particular offense. I mean, they're not going to be able, if they're that young of players and basketball IQ, you're going to struggle having them just know spacing and running an offense. Not to say you can't do that, something simple like a 5-out, but what I'm, not too complicated, and put all of your time and energy on fundamentals and scrimmages, small-sided games, 3-on-3, 2-on-2, even 1-on-1. Teach them how to play the game first, but you can't get anywhere if they don't know how to dribble, shoot, pass, right? So,
yes. So let me jump in for a second.
Yeah.
So a couple questions, and there's some comments over the side that we can answer too.
Yeah.
If you want to look at those. So here's what I would do. I just put some stuff for small-sided, but I got a ton of small-sided stuff I'm going to be putting in. So I would do a lot of that. 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, a lot of that.
Okay.
Because you can't hide, right? That you want them to dribble, you want them to, pass, you want them to have to, ball handle, do all the things that you have to do to be a basketball player. So I would spend a lot of time on that because they'll enjoy that and they're playing. And especially if they're about the same ability. Every practice, personally, I've spent a lot of time on ball handling,
Okay.
just because it's the first thing that kids, if you go to a park and you see a 5-6-year-old, that's the first thing they learn to do. So they have to learn to dribble because you won't be able to do anything if they can't dribble. The shooting stuff will come, the passing stuff, all the nuances of the game, the passing if they're playing 2-on-2, but they got to be able to dribble effectively. Now, the 6'2" kid is probably going to be big. He might not have to as much, but the rest of them, I would dribble. You can play dribble. There's all sorts of different fun ways you can do dribbling that we'll put inside. But that would be number one. Number two would be shooting close to the basket. So if they can't shoot, don't let them shoot long threes and long ones. I would try to keep them close to the rack as much as possible. So working on layups, working on offhand layups, working on pressure on layups. The teams you play, how are they in comparison to you?
So that's actually really interesting. So last year, we started off, I want to say 1-7 7, we had 2 kids quit, and then we won the last 2 out of 3. And it was like something clicked. And so the teams that we play, there's one particular team named Williston, and all their kids play AAU. They play travel ball. Like their kids are in it.
Really good. Yeah.
They go to state every year. Williston High School. The other schools, they have players that play. They have like 1 or 2 kids, and a lot of kids are multi-sport athletes. So I think we're probably like maybe a year away. I mean, they're a little bit better, but they've had a lot more experience than the kids that I have. So that's kind of what I'm after. Is that's the reason why I have so many sixth graders and 7th graders. I'm just trying to get as kids as much playing time as possible.
And that's where that small sided thing will help a lot too. Anything else, Bill, before we go on?
Yeah, footwork. I mean, that was the only other thing that often gets overlooked. But I mean, you don't necessarily have to do specific drills for footwork, but pay attention to it. In their shooting and their passing. I think it's one of those things that's often overlooked at the youth level. And if you can start there with good footwork on just the way your feet are supposed to be positioned on a pass or on your shot too, right?
I agree.
But I think that's good, Alex. If you can just work on the fundamentals, it might look ugly in the beginning, but like you said, it's definitely going to click towards the end.
It will. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I don't know who is first, but I'll just call on Keith's in my upper left corner, so I'll call on him first.
Yeah, all good. Hey, how's it going? I'm from Australia, so it's a bit less intense over here. It seems like.
Oh, so you're way under. So you're winter's coming. Winter's coming, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But it seems like it's really involved, and I mean it's huge in the US. In Australia, it's a bit less, and I'm coaching. Currently, I just coach my son's team and his cousin's team, which is like 11s and 12s. And yeah, our thing is like, I get them for 1 hour a week.
Oof.
I mean, it's so I'm trying to figure out what can I fit in without fitting in too much. And since I have them only for an hour, like most of their improvements probably going to come outside of it. So what can I do to sort of get them motivated outside of the 1 hour that I have them?
What grade level?
11, 12-year-olds at the moment.
12-year-olds. Okay,
Yeah.
so that would be. It's been a while. 5th graders, 6th graders.
That'd be 5th or 6th grade.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Jessica.
It's been a while. I'm going. All right. I remember my
doing
son
that.
was
I know.
in
It's like,
kindergarten, and so 5th or 6th. Okay.
Totally fine. I've got one in that grade. That's all. That was on my
Okay. Well, I heard something, and it's you'll hear it on the upcoming podcast. And give them the best gift you can give them is to give them the gift of basketball and the gift of joy. And what I mean by that is the coach that I was interviewing, he's talking about just got to get them to love the game. And something you brought up, in your particular case, got to get them to practice on their own, and they're going to do it if your number one job in that hour is you're their biggest fan, right? You're the cheerleader, right? That's got to be top priority for you, so that they are excited to go home and do something on their own. So, for example, one of the things I think we talked about, you'll hear this on one of the upcoming podcasts, is the gift of shooting. You teach someone how to shoot the right way, because that's really right. We want to see the ball go in the basket and we get all excited, and right. And how many times have we said to our own kids, I'll give you, we'll stop at, wherever Krispy Kreme and grab a donut if you score 10 points, right? So, we want to see our kids score. The kids want to score. So teach them in your practice, teach them one thing that will just light them up. Right. And that's the gift you're going to give them, so they get excited and work on their own. Right. And be very processed, so they can teach someone. That's kind of the mentality you kind of want, that they can go home and teach their parent, because then look what I learned today. Right. And like for me, when I'm teaching shooting, a great example is that, I have this little saying I always do: ball to the thigh, thumb to the eye, hand to the sky, follow through, right? And so they just, something easy for them to pick up. Anyway, that was kind of my 2 cents.
It's a couple things. First of all, is it soccer? What's the biggest in Australia? Biggest sport?
I'd probably say football, like rugby.
Rugby. Well, I'm just saying the basketball is probably down a little bit. It's not quite like the UK probably. So you got to, part of it's a sales part of it too. Is there opportunity for them to play outside of that hour, like 3-on-3 leagues or 2-on-2 leagues or things like that?
So I mean, the level that I'm teaching, it's a mix. Like, I mean, my son's played for like 2 years or so, and then I've got kids in the team that are brand new.
Never played.
So I still have to balance like not making my son bored versus teaching other kids.
Yeah.
How can I teach high level skills and low in the same session? Do I
You can. I'm assuming you have a full court, right? You have a full court.
I'm on a half court.
On a half court.
One basket, or
yes.
just one basket?
Yeah, I'm on
it's
a full court that I have to share with because we've got different club teams. But yeah, even this week I'm trying to get them to do like a practice their transition offense, and I got to split it into outlet, get up the court, and then the other half, which is just pass ahead, kick it ahead, because they're having some real trouble with that. And I'm thinking maybe it's because we're limited to the half court.
Yeah, I was talking to a coach recently from Australia, and the problem is space, Bill. It really is like gym space. We think we have problems with gym space. Their clubs there are starting to build spaces because they don't have enough gym space. I would do a lot of skill work in that half court then, because then you can walk around while they're doing like ball handling, doing some stuff like that, and you can. I would try to put the more talent. I would try to do a little bit of talented and gifted things too, and have the talent to try to group a little bit with these kids are a little bit more farther advanced than the kids that are this is the first time they've ever picked up a basketball.
Well, and as an example with, what of that, and sometimes what I do is, I'll go up to one of the more advanced kids. If we're doing like, just take a simple layup drill, right? They're doing simple layups. I'll go up to the advanced kid and say, hey, I want, kind of whisper in there, I want you to do an inside left hand finish, right? I want you to work on that, right? Because, he can do left-handed, right-handed layups, no problem, right? But, whatever, find those little things or we do this tennis ball drop drill where we're doing kind of a timing drill, and the advanced kids have to do more crossover dribbles than the other one by the time the tennis ball drops, right? So it's it just, that's how you can get a sneak in a little bit more, at least on the skill side.
And if your son's like, somebody put in the chat, that home court app is a really good app too. Somebody put that in the chat, and it is like anything like that you can kind of hook them. Like they can do it at home. It's gonna be outside. Obviously it's gonna be harder to get outside, but anything like that, they can. Like we have shooting machines in our gym just because it hooks the guys, get some more shots too. But it's a hook. It's like, ooh, this is kind of cool because they're in the flashy kind of. So anything like that you can find. That was I think that was Martin who said that, but that's a great, like, that's true. Anything like that you can find that can get a little bit of hook, because ideally you want them to play outside of the hours. The hours definitely recreational at that point. Yeah, that's a first. That little amount of time on a half a basket that's going to be hard to get anything done inside of practice.
And it's like 6 months. We have like 13 regular games, and then you could change up teams. So
right,
it could be a different team that you're coaching. So
it sounds like for the US, it sounds like upward almost, Bill. Like, how they do that upward in the younger ages. It's like yeah, that's almost what it sounds like a little bit.
Well, and Keith, in the practice plans, you see though too, is they can be modified. There is on the right hand side, as you're looking at the practice plan, I'm forgetting the terms I use now all of a sudden. Let me pull one up. You can go in there. There's kind of the basic drill, and then if you can add constraints to that drill and progressions to every drill. So what I try to do, with you in mind and somebody who might have 2 practices a week, is not teach new drills every practice, but have a handful of drills and add constraints to those drills and progressions. It just makes it a lot easier. You're not teaching anything new. You're just adding to what you've already taught them on practice.
Like what? Like an
first line
example, you're
practice.
playing 1-on-1. Maybe the defense is ahead of the offense. Maybe next time the offense can only
That's
dribble
right.
2 times. Maybe next time, if you're doing 2-on-2, maybe you have to make 3 passes before you shoot. Any kind of constraints. It's basically manipulating one drill to get 20 drills. It's a great way, especially when you're limited and you're trying to get different. I do it to do different skill sets. Like, okay, we're going to play 2-on-2. No one can dribble with their right hand, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
those kind of constraints are really, first of all, they love them at the younger ages, because you're just tweaking the game. But what you're doing, and they don't know it, is you're working on a skill that you want them to work on. Like, all right, we're gonna play 3-on-3. Nobody can shoot until 6 passes. So what you're doing is you're making them work on passing and moving and stuff like that. So any kind of constraints like that can take a simple drill and make it much more complicated. All right, go ahead, Jessica. I saw your hand there. I was not ignoring you. Like some of my seniors right now in my class, I am ignoring some of them.
And they're ignoring you too, Coach. So
They
I'm
are.
sure.
There's a foot outside the door, literally.
Yeah, that's right.
This time of year, that's probably very true.
Yes.
So first, thank you very much for you guys for doing this. I was super pumped when I found out about it. So I played basketball all growing up. This past fall was the first time I've ever coached. And so little background history, I have a very similar question. Mine said like Alex did. So I have a 3rd grader, and I was asked to coach, and I'm like, sure, I'd love to. I wanted to get into it. Little did I know, though, that the league we were getting into didn't start at 3rd grade level. It started at the 4th grade level. So on top of that, I have 7 girls that have never played basketball outside of gym class. They had absolutely no idea what they were doing. So I didn't know that we were then going to go up against 4th graders the entire season, and actually had an opportunity to go up against 5th graders, because 5th graders could play down.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah, it was kind of a nightmare at first when I found this out, and I was like, whoa, what's going on?
This is the problem is you don't want. There's not enough.
Didn't you write this in the Coaching Youth Hoops Facebook group?
I may have.
Yeah.
Okay.
The problem is, here's the issue too, is you don't want these girls, you don't want to be their last coach, and you don't want them to stop playing because it's no fun. I know that's horrible.
Exactly. That was my number 1 goal throughout the entire season, was to make sure that they did not quit, or like they still wanted to play after the season was over. And I think I accomplished that, because I've got them saying, if I don't coach again, they're not going to play. I'm like, okay, all right, we'll figure that out later. So I had 3 weeks to start. Like, I literally had to say, this is a basketball, this is a hoop, this is this line is for, I had to basically start from scratch. They didn't know what a jump ball was. They didn't know what a foul was, anything. So I had 9 hours prior to our season starting to get them to game ready. And I focused a lot on the fundamentals, and like basically explaining everything, passing, like the basic stuff. We ended up 0-16 for the season, and we didn't win a game. We, at most, in one day, we would play 3 games in a day each weekend, and we would at most score 6 points total. So these girls were so small at the beginning, they couldn't even make it to the rim from standing right underneath the basket. So I'm like, I'm not even going to focus on like shooting per se, because I don't think we can get form or whatever. So I have a couple questions. And you kind of touched on it with Alex on like what to work on and focus on. So I made notes of that. But what are your suggestions for how many practices a week and for how long each practice? I did 2 practices a week for an hour and a half each, and I towards the end was wishing I could do a little bit longer, like 2 hours.
First off, I'd love to hear that, but
Yeah.
I
was
that's
thinking
great.
I was
Yeah,
thinking the
well,
other
she's
way.
got it. She's well, I know. I just said I'd love to hear it. I don't think it's the right way to do it, but I'd love to hear that. Well, and you like even for you to be able to get more gym time, that's awesome. The opposite of what Key's problem is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, at 3rd grade. So this is next year, so they're going to be in 4th grade.
Correct, but I will also
Yeah.
probably have 3rd graders again next year.
Yeah. Well, one, you must do an amazing job of keeping their attention for an hour and a half. So
Oh, I don't know
good
about
to,
that. That was very
yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know, I wouldn't do any more than an hour and a half, and the max I would do if they're at that level, the max I would do is 2 to 3 practices a week.
okay.
I just think at that developmental level, now as they get skilled and they want more and they get a little bit older, yeah, add in another one. You know,
Yeah.
I have a 6th grade girls team, and we're gonna do, and these girls are pretty hardcore though, but even so, we're doing 2 hours and 2 days a week, so 4 hours a week.
Okay.
But knowing them, they will ask for more, which is
Sure.
awesome. But yeah, anyway, I just think you're going to lose their attention, and I think that the best thing there too is, you know, as you'll see in the practice plans, they're short. Each drill is short. It just keeps the kids moving. 5 minutes, 8 minutes max, I think I have on most drills. So you don't want to do anything longer than that. And if they're not getting it, and I'm guilty of it, just as probably every coach on here, is just, if you're not getting it, if they're not getting it, that's your fault. Go back to the drawing board. Don't spend an hour and a half teaching the one thing because they're not getting it, right?
Right.
You got to find different ways to teach it. Yeah.
It's the
Okay.
TikTok. It's TikTok. It's like do. Keep it
Yeah.
fast, keep it moving.
Okay.
I've noticed that over the last 10 years, even with my
Yeah.
older kids. It's like fast. It's like and the problem is it's hard as a teacher. I want to make sure they have it before I go on to the next thing. But and I'm lucky because I can have a scoreboard in my gym, but I move on. I literally you have to move on. So that's what keep them engaged is the key.
Okay.
Ball in their hand as much as possible the entire time, if that's
Okay.
possible. Yeah, just keep them moving. And then the other thing is, I'm training this girl. We're doing one-on-one training, and she's brand new to basketball, 6th grade girl. And I asked her just in a conversation, what's your favorite thing, or what's your favorite subject in school? And she said math. You'll love that, Steve, math, right? So I said, oh, perfect. So I started relating the game to math. Talked about triangles and what kind of triangle you see on the court, and we talked about angles. You should have seen this girl light up, right? And I talked about a gift earlier. That was a gift for her. She was so excited leaving and so excited to come back for the next one because, we talked about math in basketball, and that's something that she loves besides basketball. So, I mean, I say that just make sure you're relating to the kids, you're finding that gift for them.
Okay. I'll do one last question. What about offensive plays? Like this year, we basically could just master the pick and roll, and that was it.
Wow.
I mean, I wouldn't say
good if you did that.
They did it. Were we successful with it? No, but they knew to do it and could do it. So what else could I do?
In the Coaching Youth Hoops, you'll see I included my ABC offense, and I call it ABC offense because it's simple and there's 3 simple rules. So it's always be cutting and screening, always be cutting and screening. Is that what he said? Always
always be moving. Here's the biggest issue at that age. Just make sure that they're spacing and that they're moving.
Yeah.
The ball screening, all that kind of stuff. It's like if you can teach them to be spaced and to move, then gosh, if they're setting balls, my guys can't even set ball screens. It's like, that's great. But I
Okay.
mean, at that age, you could, I mean, you can keep it as simple. You can be as complicated as simple as depending on the talent of your group. I mean, if they're spacing, you can clear out a side, and if someone can dribble well, they can get to the
Yeah.
rim. But yeah, I would not complicate with plays, especially if they haven't played much. I would keep it
Yeah.
keep
No,
kiss. I
let's
would
keep it
keep
simple.
the kiss value at this point. Keep it simple.
Okay.
Pass,
Yep.
cut, right?
Yep, pass,
So-
cut, and then get some
Pass, cut, fill.
painter's tape and put it on the floor. And these are the 5 X's you should always be at. So if you're not here, you should be moving to a different one. And if you
Okay.
teach them that ball movement, and painter's tape's good because then the janitor or custodian won't get mad at
Yeah.
you. You can rip
Or
it right off.
on Amazon, you can go and they
You
sell
can get
numbers.
those circles. Yeah, those
Yeah,
big
and
those
1
big-
through 5. So yeah.
those big plastic circles. I never liked those though, because anyway, I always thought I was gonna
Well-
trip, but I'm old. So
Oh,
you never
sure.
know.
Okay,
They're
well,
not
thank
an
you
inch
very
thick
much.
there, old man.
I know.
There's-
Well, they
they're
used to
just-
be thick in the old days. You used to
In the
be
old
throw
days.
like frisbees, Now they're probably really thin plastic now.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're
All right.
plastic.
I
And
see another
they're not
hand.
elastic to the floor.
All right, Ryan, you got a question?
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I've been coaching my kids' 5th and 6th grade team the last 2 years. And my biggest problem is I don't really have assistant coaches. So like this year I only had 8 kids, 9 kids most of the time. One like had eligibility problems. Next year, it looks like I'm going to take over the co-op and become the 7th and 8th grade basketball coach. And so I'm going to go from like 8 kids to like 16.
Ooh.
And I have to do 8th and 7th grade as the head coach for both.
Same
What would you-
practice? Same
Same
practice.
practice. Yeah. Because there's only going to be like 4 or 5 8th graders. All the rest of them are going to be 7th graders next year.
Number of baskets.
I have a full gym. So I've got, 6
Six
baskets.
So that helps.
That helps you.
That helps a lot. And how much time? Couple hours?
Yeah, last year I did an hour and a half because they were all 6th graders. I can go 2 hours if I want to. I can do it 4 or 5 days a week if I want to. I've got pretty much free range because it is going to be going into like the IESA, so like the elementary school basketball.
So it's going to be literally 2 separate teams.
Yeah. I'm gonna have an 8th grade team and a 7th grade team, but I'm gonna have to probably have some 7th graders play up.
Okay. Wow. That's an interesting. I'm doing the matrix in my head. So I think what you can do, because you're gonna have to do some 5-on-5, you probably would have to what I would try to do is maybe break up your practice, and Bill can jump in here too. When you have to, you obviously can do, if you got 6 baskets, you can do a lot of skill work and all that kind of stuff, small sided stuff. But when you're doing 5-on-5, I would do it sideways, right? Side baskets. That's 10 there. And then I would rotate those 10 depending on, groupings, and then have the other 6 be working on some skills at that point while you're working with the 10 on the other, going the other way.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's what I've done before when I've had like I think I had a freshman team once that had 18. And we didn't even have 6 baskets, but that seemed to work. And then I gave them basically the people that are over here working, you got to give them specific things to work on. And for me, I usually had to make it competitive.
Right.
I knew they would be like, all right, well, you guys are gonna shoot threes, who can make the most in the next blah blah blah, whatever it was.
Right.
So I think that tended to be helpful. What do you think, Coach?
Yeah, and you're the only coach, Ryan?
So I have one father who comes out and tries to kind of help, but he
Does
just
not.
stands there kind of. And then I have one of the teachers who comes and she kind of attempts to help too, but she's another person who just kind of stands there. So it's a lot of me directing them what to do. I think she has
it's
some pretty
eyes.
good
It's
basketball
adult
knowledge.
eyes. It's adult eyes at least. It's at
Yeah.
least
Yeah,
adult
yeah.
eyes. That helps a little bit.
So the kids aren't throwing the balls at themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
She has basketball knowledge. He doesn't as much. He's
Okay.
just kind of there to help.
Well, first up, I think Ryan and Jessica should partner up and lease some space to Keith. That would solve Keith's problem. Right. So
He's saying
With all
6
this gym
baskets.
time,
He's going, what are
you
you
know,
talking about?
yeah,
6 baskets.
the luxury.
I know.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of crazy too. I live right by St. Mary's College in Moraga, California, right? If you guys have been around, if you're watching the NCAA tournament, right? They made Sweet 16. Anyway, they steal a lot of players from Australia, so they're doing something right down in Australia and whatever they're doing on the basketball side. So they got a huge pipeline for Australian players. Okay, so but to your question, what would I do in that particular case? I would think about stations also on those 6 baskets and match those kids up by skill level. So you can kind of just rotate yourself in the middle of the gym and say, okay, we're going to work on, whatever it might be, whatever skill you're teaching, a drill you're teaching, right? And you can kind of go around or have the other parents help you go around and, let the parents know, hey, these are the 2 or 3 things I'm looking for, right? Making sure that they're doing. Divide them up by skill level. So put the best kids together, and then the kids that need a little bit more hand holding and a little bit more, a little bit more time for development. And so that's one thing. So, but when you get the group together, as Steve said, just running, you could do, at that point, what we do a lot of times is either we do 5-on-5-on-5, right? Where you get scored on, you come out, the other team runs in, because it helps them also understand knowing who they're going to guard, right? That's really quickly, like in a substitution, teaching them that. Obviously they're running full court and it's quick, right? They're in and out when somebody scores, and you still can get your sets in that way and whatever else. I don't know if that was helpful to answer your question, but
that's a good way to keep them all involved, because that was one of my big problems, was keeping that amount of kids involved. Because like last year at best we had 8 kids. One older brother would come into play sometimes, and I would be out there playing with these 6th graders running the floor. And I'm 6'5", so trying to run the floor with a bunch of 6th graders looked a little silly. I was out there trying not to do
it's
too
gonna
much.
Be it's gonna be a little bit more planning. I personally,
exactly.
I'd take 16 over 8 personally.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially because you have 2 teams. So that's better for me. I would rather that. It's just for you, you're gonna have to map stuff out a little bit more and probably go side basket rather than full basket. And just and some of that stuff you should track, especially if you're doing some breakdown stuff that you could keep track of. Hey, you 2 are gonna go over here and shoot 20 free throws each. And then I want to know how many you make. And then this group is gonna do this. Well, I go over here and do the, and as long as they're kind of have a clipboard or something, fill this out, so keep them engaged. And then as soon as they're done, they come over, all right, let me grab you and put you in this group and blah, blah, blah. So it's going to be a little bit more of, I always refer to it as controlled chaos, or herding the cats kind of thing. But it's just going to be, you don't want 6 kids standing around. That's when, Johnny starts pulling someone else's hair, and then, yeah, anyway.
And to emphasize what Steve said is you're going to have to be a little bit more well-planned in how you break all those kids up around those baskets. So, but that's not a problem. It's just, come up with
and
those.
Bill and I can help too. When once you finalize, once we kind of get everything finalized, and it's like, oh, all right, what could this, because I'm sure you're not the only person that has that problem.
Yeah.